This is the fabric that I'm using to make my cape. I've bought 2 meters from this company called Millcroft Textiles, and the one I bought was this one called Lace and Embroidered Tulle. Has a maximum width of 1 meter 7, and you can have it in black or ivory, and I chose the ivory. Now on this tool the pattern actually goes down lengthways and not across the width. It's slightly annoying. If it had been 1 centimetre wider I could have had the cape with the pattern going down, but I'm not going to be able to do that, so I'm going to have the pattern going across instead. Okay, this is the pattern we're using to do a cape that was drafted up quickly. First of all, of course, you'll need to get your measurement around the shoulders, which will be helpful if somebody could do this for you, so that you know how big to make your circle, and it's got to be long enough, and obviously long enough at the back as well, to however long you want it to be. The thing I need to do is to tea dye the fabric, because it's too ivory at the moment. It needs dulling down so it's not so bright. So I'm just mixing some tea bags in some boiling hot water. The fabric is now being tea dyed, and I've now cut out my pattern. The next thing you need to do is create your scallop design, as the edge of the cape has scallops on it, and will be embroidered with the variegated thread, which we'll show you later. At the moment we've just got some pen, done the curve where we need our scallops. I just used a cup to draw around, but if you wish to create a template, that's completely up to you. Next I'm using this acrylic paint in metallic classic gold. Next I am going to be painting all the flowers on the design in the gold paint. This is the cape as it stands now, after I have painted all the gold flowers. It's taken me about the best part of 5 to 6 days. Next we're going to show you how to use the variegated thread on the edges and create the scallop effect.
Right, we're now going to sew the edging around the cape, and set up your machine first to a satin stitch, which is a zigzag stitch on there, and I'm going to use the widest width for the needle. And then for the length of the stitch, it needs to be as small as possible, the lowest setting that you can get onto your machine. For the bobbin thread, I'm using a light green colour. As long as it's something close to your main colour, it doesn't really matter what colour it is. And the main colour I'm going to use is a variegated thread for machine quilting, and it's called Foliage, and the number is 23V. And with any sewing project, always do a sample piece first. As you can see, the top line there, the width of the sewing wasn't correct, too many holes in it, so reset the machine, and you need to do it very close stitching and as wide as possible. So always do test piece. And because netting and tulle is so thin, the dog teeth can't grab the material as it goes through. So I have a lot of interfacing left over from previous projects, so I've cut those into strips. If you haven't got any interfacing, you can use sewing tissue paper and fold that in half. As long as you use something that you can tear away after you've finished doing your sewing, it will be fine. So I have my line across the top of the cape. You can just about see it. I'm going to put a strip of interfacing underneath. So as I sew further along, I'm going to keep putting small strips of interfacing underneath so that I sew through both layers. As you're sewing along, the cape is curved, so you must go with the curve of the cape. Don't pull the cape straight. Okay, we're now on the back, and what I'm showing you now is how you'd be tearing off the interlining from the back. You just pull it like so, and it will come off cleanly against the stitches, like that. Take all the pieces off, and you'll be left with a neat edge, like so. When you come to do the scalloped edging, make sure that you don't pull the netting as you go. You've got to follow the line very carefully, and as you go, put your underlining underneath. And when you've done all the edging, all the underlining will be pulled off. Using a very small pair of scissors, very carefully cut around the outside of the satin stitch, getting rid of the excess net. Try not to get too close to the sewing so you don't cut the stitches.
Okay, you have to excuse all the holes in this fabric. I'm going to explain. Another lucky find in my local fabric store was this crinkled crushed brown coloured taffeta, which was embroidered with the roses in exactly the same colours, or close enough at least, that we used on her gowns, and we just couldn't believe it when we saw this. So I had clusters of 3, some had 2, some places there were 1s. As I forgot to film this fabric before we cut all the roses, that's why there's lots of holes in it now. So that's where obviously the roses form. We left a bit of excess around the roses, and sewed the excess of fabric around the roses onto the back of it, just so it won't fray. So there we go. But if you're actually looking for these roses, you can actually buy the fabric on eBay, because I found some more just in case I would need it. Now this is a black version of the fabric I found, called embroidered floral crinkled taffeta, £2.99 a metre, or you can make him an offer, from the World of Fabrics, or the shop is the Wonderful World of Fabrics. Or here's that bronzy brown one that I bought. So he does 2 different colours, but not that it really matter, because all you want is the roses. picture there. So there we go, if you're looking for your roses, get in there now.
Next, the roses have to be positioned onto the cape. Around every rose there's been left a small piece of material. This will be tucked underneath and neatened before all the roses are sewn on properly. I've just pinned them on for now to make sure that I have enough roses, because the big ones I don't have as many of those, so there will have to be gaps where that row is. Next update that I've done is on the brooch, and using Primo Sculpey. It's an oven bake clay you can buy off the internet. I then got a picture of the brooch from off the internet and fashioned a brooch. Okay, I've got the picture off the internet to make a brooch. I put the picture on top of a thin layer of Sculpey and then cut around it with a sharp scalpel. The very small crystals I've used actually come in a very large quantity. They're just ordinary flat backs. They come in an assortment of colours. These can be obtained from the internet. But the middle gem is actually a 6x4 faceted oval, and I wanted to make this a little bit special, so it's made from cubic zirconia, but you don't have to buy an expensive stone for this. Anything that is 6x4 and faceted will do just as well. And then what I shall do is get a brooch pin from the craft store and then glue that onto the back, and that will be my finished brooch.
The last thing to do on the cape that's quite helpful is to put some poppers on so that it holds the cape in place. It'd be very helpful if somebody did this for you while you fit it, so they can mark whereabouts it's got to be, and this more or less completes the cape. For more information, please visit my website www.tracyscostumingworld.weebly.com, and on there you'll find lots of photographs and written tutorials as well.